It's been an eventful summer since we got back from Omaha. We've hit the ground running. It was really rapid fire. We got done that Wednesday and flew home that Wednesday, met with the team, had an extremely emotional and really good team meeting on that Thursday. And man, a lot of tears shed by a lot of people, just a special group of guys. And you guys have heard me say over and over how I did not look forward to the day where I didn't get to be around them every day. So from there, we went into player meetings and straight into recruiting and trying to figure out what's going on with our team and the draft and the transfer portal and now the major league draft. So a lot of long days, a lot of long nights, but still hard at it. And obviously, we're super excited about Chase Slone and his addition to our staff.
Questions? What's the reception been like when you do go out on the road? Is it any different than it was before? Or is all the exposure and visibility you got at the College World Series, has that made a difference?
You know, for me, my time has been spent more over the phone. And obviously the rest of the coaches have been out. But the reception has been unbelievable. And, you know, I've often said that the best thing to help you in recruiting is to play in Omaha. And all eyes are fixated on that. So the amount of time and that we spent out there was so good for us because it has opened up a whole new can of worms for us, especially from a recruiting standpoint. And these guys, especially the guys in the transfer portal, when they're sitting there and they're trying to decide what's important to them, winning is typically one of them. And when you just won at the highest level, when you think about our SEC championship, regional championship, super regional championship, and then us making it to Omaha, there is no better statement that can be made for us on the recruiting end. And it's definitely got us in the door with a lot more players than we have in the past.
Can you talk about Chase and what you're confident in that he'll add as a coach? You
know, we go way back. It was back in, was it the summer of 2012? The summer of 2012, I was running team camps at Mississippi State, and in comes Chase and his team, and we immediately start doing a bunch of defensive work and offensive work, and he just stood out. He was literally one of my favorite campers I've ever had in my entire life, and I've been running camps since 2000. So for 24 years, I've been a part of baseball camps, and he was one of my favorite campers. Just his energy, his toughness, his effort was incredible. And, you know, that team he had was a very special team. And, you know, believe it or not, I've always followed his career since then, from the time he went to Southern Illinois to Dyersburg State to Wright State. And it was really neat for us a couple of years ago to run into each other on the road recruiting and spending time and talking and catching up. And I have a great deal of respect for the type of not only person he is, but coach he is. He's innovative. He is extremely bright about the swing. And not only about the swing, just overall offense. When you look at what he's been able to do at Wright State and his teams, very similar to the type of offenses we run. So when this position opened, he was one of the first people to come to my mind. And when I had time to sit down and process it and break it down, even from a statistical standpoint, he surfaced as a no-brainer for us.
You know, some people say you can't expect to do something until you do it. And I know you always talk about Omaha's an expectation, but is it even more now, even harder? Now that you've gone there and then won a game.
So this is really cool, but one thing that we did, I really do this every year, but we did this year, and it took a lot longer because of the amount of love and respect the players have for each other. At our end of the year team meeting, we had the seniors stand up with no more eligibility. The guys that their college baseball careers, no matter what, are over. They can't play anymore. And what I do is I go around to each guy and I say something about them, about how they've impacted our team, our program, our institution, me personally, Kristen Reeves, the whole deal. Then the players that are currently sitting in the classroom give them feedback about how they've impacted them and what they've done. Well, then we give the seniors an opportunity to share. And I thought Ryan Nicholson, as you guys learned this whole postseason, he just had a beautiful depiction of what you're talking about. He said, guys, coming from Cincinnati, I had a great experience there, really appreciate my time with the coaches. He said, but I didn't get a chance to compete to try to go to Omaha. And he goes, and when we would first say Omaha, I thought it was this mythical place, like this fairyland Disney World that was out there that maybe you just couldn't reach. And he goes, and when we got that last out, he realized we're actually going. Like, this is a real place. And to go and be a part of it and be the first team just meant the world to not only him, but everyone in the program. And that is what my vision was from the first time I sat over there in that football center and I said, we're going to talk about Omaha and we're going to go. But I had been there. Kristen had been there. There's been members on our staff on this year's staff that had been there. So for them to get that opportunity, what that did for them, it was just, you can't put it into words. And for the rest of their lives, Ryan and the rest of those guys are going to realize and believe, like, I can do something that I maybe even didn't know was possible, and we're going to be able to do it. So as a result, as a coach, you're in a good spot. You're in a good spot. You gave them an experience that they had no idea, and helped them go to a place that they didn't even know existed.
There's obviously been a lot of movement with the portal and guys getting drafted, but Devin and Robert just announced they're coming back. How critical and valuable is to bring back leaders that have experienced winning and done all that kind of thing?
Oh, absolutely. even for Devin, as you guys know, what he means to our program. So, and quite frankly, he's a guy that Devin is tough as anybody we have on our team. He cares about Kentucky. He loves this place. I mean, he was Mr. Wildcat. But I think Devin even realizes that there's parts of his game that's got to get better and that we've got to improve on. And so I think he's looking forward to coming back and working on those things to improve his game so he can eventually one day hear his name called in the draft. But at the same time, he's coming back to a place that he loves. And we're excited to have him back. Same thing with Hoagie. And we've had a couple other guys mention to us that they're coming back. So that's like super exciting. And But even with Hoagie, the role that he played for us. So these are two main pieces, one part of the pitching staff and one on the positional player group that will be big for us moving forward.
You kind of touched on some of the older guys and the guys that are out of eligibility. 7 guys taken in the MLB draft. Just how special were those guys here? And how happy are you for
what we get to do is pretty amazing. We get to surround ourselves with 18 to 24-year-olds and highly motivated ones at that. And every day we get to watch their development. And we talk about this as a student, a person, and a player. It's not just the player piece. And I can tell you that from the time that these guys were this little, they've dreamed of hearing their name called in a major league draft and playing Major League Baseball. And the fact that we get the opportunity to help aid in that development and then actually see it come to life, I mean, it's hard to beat. What a cool job. What a cool job to get to be around those guys. And couldn't be more thrilled. I've had the opportunity to speak to all of them and express the amount of joy, not only me, but everyone in our program, the city, the state. It's been pretty amazing.
I think at the SEC Media Days down in Texas, I think Commissioner Sankey kind of confirmed that the roster limit's probably going to fall somewhere in around mid-30s. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that and on the changing scholarship situation, how that ends up playing out?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a change, and I've often said this, and for anybody that's ever asked, the hardest part of my job has been managing the 11.7 scholarships and the 32 guys on 8. That's the hardest part of my job. It's not creating a culture where the guys want to show up every day and work hard and compete for Kentucky. It's not trying to get them bought into the team concept. The hardest part is juggling that. So that's going to make my job dramatically easier because you're not having to worry about some of those things if this ultimately ends up passing. Now, what is the number? I haven't heard the number like that is final. I don't believe that's like been established, but when we were at the 35, I feel like that's a good, healthy number. I love the number 35, Now, whether or not it goes to that or it goes to 33 or 34 or whatever it is, I have no idea, 32. But the one thing I've learned, and you guys know this about college athletics, is when you're in it and you're doing what we do, you have to be flexible and you have to be willing to adapt. And if you're not going to be able to stay in college athletics. And is it the same thing it's been before? No, it's not. And it's constantly changing every day. But I just truly believe that this is the hand that whatever it is we've been dealt, and we're going to do the best job that we possibly can to play it and to do the best job we can for Kentucky. And whatever that, however that is, whatever that looks like, whatever that number is, we'll just have to adapt and make those necessary adjustments for us to be successful.
Any other questions for Coach?
Guys, I do want to just thank all the people in this community that have just gone out of their way just to thank me for what this baseball team was able to provide them and their families. I've heard amazing stories. I had a gentleman come up to me last week and say, Coach, thank you. And like you could just see the look in his eyes, how appreciative it was. He said, you provided me an opportunity to take my son to Omaha and go to the College World Series. And he said, not only that, I had my dad go. He was like, Coach, I had 3 generations. I had my dad and my son just spending time in Omaha, and he was just so appreciative. I cannot tell you the amount of time I met a lady that said she'd been following the College World Series for over 30 years, and she always said, I'm never going until Kentucky can go. And finally, she said she went. So just the reception, the people, the amount of time and effort that they just keep recognizing our players and what we were able to do for not only this baseball program, this athletic department, but for the institution has been awesome. So if you can hear my voice or see me now, just let me tell you how much we appreciate you guys, because you guys helped make that a great experience for our players. What you did, the way you filled Kentucky Proud Park, the way you showed up in Omaha, it just means the world to us, so thank you. Go Cats.
Coach, before you go, we've
Yes.
got some familiar faces here who have something
What?
I'd like to present to you.
What are you doing? You guys lost? What are you doing?
National Coach of the Year. Thought you'd get fitted up right. Goes back.
Are these nice?
Yeah.
Wow. Thank
All
you
the names
guys.
of the guys and everything.
This is really cool. Wow.
Nick, can you hold them up above the mics?
Yeah, do I need to wear these in like recruiting visits or something?
I don't think you should wear them.
Don't wear them? Okay. All right, what do you do with these? Look at these bad boys. Whoa.
I think it's got your name and Kristen's name, like right on inside on the
Inside
tongue
the
too.
Oh, these are amazing. Oh, Reeves and Kristen.
Oh, Reeves and Kristen.
Oh, that is so cool. Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. We gotta get a picture with these or what?
Probably.
Thank you, guys.
So as you guys can hear, kind of a crazy story. 2012, I think I'm 16 years old. At the time, going to a Mississippi State team camp, it's kind of the goal. Like, let's find a way to play at Mississippi State, and it doesn't work out. And it's like, well, why'd you come here and all these different things? But it's just crazy the way that life works out. My roommate at Southern Illinois is named Colin Holderman. He's the setup guy for the Pittsburgh Pirates now, and he transferred around the same time I did, and he went to Heartland Community College. And then from there, he committed to Mississippi State to Coach Minge, and he ended up getting drafted at Heartland, and he's with the Pirates. But 2 summers ago, whenever I'm sitting there at future games and Coach Minge is there, I'm kind of like, we just happen to organically be sitting two seats apart. And I'm like, man, I wonder if he remembers me or not. Should I ask him? Should I talk to him? I hate being, the guy that's just going up and introducing myself to everybody. But something in my gut just told me to, and I asked him, I was like, you recruited Colin Holderman, right? And he was like, yeah, I did. And I'm like, I don't know if you remember me or not, but Chase Slone, he was like, heck yeah. And then we just reconnected there for the next 3 hours, broke down some hitting stuff, shared some drills and some different things, and then it led me talking to you guys right here on this podium. So it's crazy the way that worked out, but it all makes sense when you look back over the last 10, 15 years. Any questions?
Coach, I know you just got here, but what's kind of stood out with the staff, the facilities, the guys, and the program so far?
Family. Everybody's been very welcoming. Everything that you see on the field, it translates behind the scenes. Everything is very genuine. It's a very organic, and there's a real culture here. And obviously you saw the results that happened on the field.
Can you talk about your style and your approach behind that?
I want to be a complete offense, and that's what Kentucky's been here. That's what we were at Wright State. At Wright State, maybe hit a little bit more, the long ball a little bit at times, but I think you have to be a complete offense. You have to be able to steal. You have to be able to create runs in many different ways. There might be a day that the wind's blowing out, and you can sit back and drive some baseballs. There's going to be other times you got to put a bunt down. You got to put a first and third offensive play on, a safety squeeze or something of that nature. So you just have to be complete, 1 through 9. Everybody has to do it. You have to be able to have quality bats come off the bench, and they got to be ready to go. But as far as the training side of things, relationships are key. Getting to know the players, getting to understand what they feel, what their strengths and weaknesses are, and then building the relationship, and then we can get to work in the cages.
Why did you want to work with Nick? What about him made you want to take this job?
His energy, his passion. I feel like I'm similar in that regard. Like to get after it. I like to communicate with players, want to work hard, and that's the way that he is, and that's why I wanted to be here.
When you were with Wright State, you guys played here in 23, where you guys even won a game. Could you imagine being in this spot now, just 2 years later?
It's crazy. It's crazy. The summer prior is when me and Coach Minge reconnected. So got to talk to him a little bit then, so that was cool. But that was a crazy time. You know, sitting here now, looking back at that, I think that was one of the weekends we kind of joked about. The wind was blowing out. We had both teams hit some home runs. There were some high-scoring games.
What sticks out to you most about this program, kind of being an outsider, but now in the program? What stood out to you most about this Kentucky baseball program?
Since being here, the behind the scenes. You're the one that mentioned transfer portal, and the way that their process is like no other. I'm not going to get into too many details with that, obviously, but they get after it, and obviously their system works, and I'm excited, and I'm just learning the ropes right now in regards to the process.
How's it been meeting some of the players in this team?
It's been good. Everybody's been very welcoming. That's the one thing, I'm like, have I met you? Okay, yeah, we met. But putting the face with the name, that's going to take a little bit of time, but everybody's been welcoming and been awesome. I've gotten so many texts, so many calls already from players here. It's been great.
Did you get a chance to watch much of Kentucky in Omaha?
Some, yeah. Can't remember every detail, but obviously the walk-off home run and everything. And just after playing here, typically when I was at Wright State, once we would play someone, and obviously knowing Coach Minge, I would follow and just keep track and everything. So I was following the whole season, rooting for him.
Can you talk about your expectation for the coaching transition just coming into the SEC?
I think baseball is baseball, and I think you have to remember that. At Wright State, we had good players, like he mentioned, and we came down here and competed all 3 games. So you have to get to know the people and get to know the players and coach them up. I think you're naturally going to have probably better athletes here than what I had at Wright State, and then when you implement the system that's already in place with things that I like, I think it's just going to match up well together.
Nick talked about the bump that he's getting recruiting-wise from playing in the College World Series as the new guy coming in charge of this offense. I mean, what does that mean for a guy like you when you see and feel that people now are looking at Kentucky?
Oh, there's a high expectation, but I think that's what you want. As a competitor, you want eyes on you. You want there to be an expectation for you to have success, both as a coach and want your players to have success. It just makes you hungry and want to work hard. And again, it goes back to what drew me here. I'm always going to be appreciative of Wright State. Alex Sogard, Nate Metzger they're the ones that gave me a chance to play there and then led to me coaching there. But that's what drew me here, was to compete against the best and have the expectations at another level where you just have to work harder than anybody and figure a way to win.
How's the transition been? I know it's super quick and you're coming from there right to here. Have you been able to explore Lexington a bit?
I haven't been able to explore Lexington a ton, but I've gotten a lot done in a few days. Found a place to live, knocked out all my HR stuff and some of those things. Luckily, Wright State, about 2 hours away, so it's going to make the moving process easier than if I was going coast to coast or anything like that, but we're figuring that out.